a bit about using CloudFormation in AWS to basically provision a stack um, within a matter of a couple of clicks and getting advanced subnet setups going, getting your app instances online, and connecting a database instance, and basically tying together this infrastructure as code aspect with AWS OpsWorks, which is basically Amazon's approach at building a backend that is Chef compatible, but it's not exactly that. It is basically a push-based approach on Chef, where they basically extended the life cycle and the points into which we can hook into. So this is all due to the AWS summit that was held a couple of weeks back here and this is one of the clips that I took my time to watch, and it's probably my favorite talk from the Summit series. I haven't seen all of them, but this is one that really caught my eye because I was interested in it. And while this clip was being played, I was able to create my own public-private subnet just through the UI, and that's just sitting in my production account. Should I ever need to use it? But I spent some time today putting together a CloudFormation template. Of course, I didn't start from scratch, as it were. I used an existing template from the samples that AWS has provided, but it has changed quite a bit to serve my needs. But largely the whole VPC setup with all the ELBs and all that is more or less the same. What I have changed primarily has been the inner OpsWorks implementation. So I will put up a link to this video, which is highly recommended. And to give you an idea of what I'm working with. So what I'm working with is basically this template is saved in a bucket in my development account. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this template and I'm going to head over to CloudFormation. And here I'm going to hit Design Template, and I'm going to open up this template from the bucket, which is the best way to go about it. And I will also place a link to a video on one of the previous talks, I believe it was from Reinvent, that talks about how you can use this CloudFormation designer. But it really took me, I would say, a better part of the day to get to grips with all the various aspects of this UI. There are some tidbits that are nice to get used to. So first off, let's give this template a name. So we'll call it YouTube Rails Cloud Formation Demo. And let's run through some of the basics. So we have some simple parameters at the top. This is basically how the CloudFormation UI is going to prompt us for a MySQL password. So in this, let me just walk through the setup. I'm going to ignore most of these stuff here and stuff around here because this is all setting up the entire VPC infrastructure. Just a rundown of it is that you end up having a singular VPC that is separate to your default VPC. And inside this, you get a public subnet and a private subnet. And there is some extra work here to do with network rules that basically allow any instances tied within a private subnet to be able to use NAT, which is network address translation, um, and be able to access the internet outside. So we basically have, in terms of ingress, we have a load balancer and all these various security groups. And we also, since this is a template that I initially downloaded, one thing that it does that I need to replace is that it uses another EC2 instance that acts as a NAT device. But this is not needed because um, there is actually something called a NAT gateway, this one. So I could, and I do plan to, replace this with the gateway, which is then something that I wouldn't need to manage, because the NAT device consumes storage, and yes, it's another entity that needs to be managed basically. And let's go down here. What do we have here? So we have some roles, and this is the primary internet gateway. And so right now, this internet gateway taps into the public zone, and only anything sitting inside the public subnet is the only thing that can access these bits in here, that can access the internet directly at least. That's the whole point. So the things I've changed in this. For one, I've introduced something called a Bastion instance, sometimes called a jump host. And I've set this up with an EIP, elastic, with an elastic IP, so that when this starts up, it will have an EIP. And I've just to run through the JSON config here. It's quite simple, an EC2 instance. I've given the key that's in my account, so I can SSH in. I've set up the root device, and this is actually going to use Amazon's own Amazon Linux. Whereas all the stuff that I have set up inside OpsWorks, that's in here, in the green box, I use Ubuntu. And to give you a quick rundown of this setup, we have a primary layer. This is the main layer. This is the what we call the stack itself. So I'm using the AWS Rails to do app as an example. And so I'm basically setting up the app there. I've specified things like the Ruby version. I like to use Nginx and Unicorn. This app unfortunately has SQLite as dependency within the Rails app, so I need to pass the package there. And the next layer is the app layer. So I'm fetching the to-do sample app straight from GitHub, the master branch, and I'm setting the Rails environment to production. And I've also set up a separate layer, which is this DB master, which OpsWorks recognizes as a MySQL host. So you don't need to do anything else apart from providing the root password, and you can set up the volume in which your database is held. And these three boxes down here, this is the database instance running Ubuntu, and this is also these two are basically our app instances. So this is a very general rundown of the setup I have here, and these are things that I've changed. Stuff in the green box, adding the Bastion, and I don't think I changed too much apart from this template. And so now that it's done there, let's take it for a spin. So I'm going to go here and click on Create Stack. So now it's going to take me over to the CloudFormation UI, where it's saying I'm going to pass in a template from the bucket. So I'm just going to go ahead with that. I'm going to call it YouTube Rails demo, and we'll just give it a password of password. I don't need to pass any tags in there. And what I'm going to do is, when you're debugging templates, this is very useful to prevent a rollback. The reason is, as soon as this thing runs into an error, it will quickly destroy everything, which is called a teardown. and then you can't basically access any notification or errors in OpsWorks because everything is deleted. So we'll just say go ahead. It sets up two specific roles, nothing to worry about. Um, they are based on the defaults. And so now we're going to take it for a spin. And now it's actually going to be firing up. And what I want to do right now is to show that ignore this is something that I can't delete. But if I would just take you to the EC2 instances, let's go over here. You'll find I have 0 running instances at the moment. And if I was to go to VPC, you will see that I think right now only one VPC, default VPC is there. And if I were to go back to CloudFormation, you can see it says creating progress. Some events have already kicked off. These are the resources that have been created so far. And this page is going to keep updating itself. I like to keep an eye on the resources tab, but keep an eye on the outputs tab. As these are firing off, things will start to fall into place. So right now we only have one VPC. In terms of the EC2, we still have nothing spun up. And this is basically chewing. So unfortunately, I would have to skip forwards, but I may end up posting this clip as is without any edits straight to YouTube. So I need to jump back to the stack list, see if anything has changed. Oh yeah, so now we have a few more things that happened. It has created the internet gateway. It's sorted out the VPC, so we should have the second VPC now in here. And we do. So this is I've tagged my default VPC by hand before, and this is our new VPC, and it has its own route set. And what's actually going to be more important is we're really interested in the subnets. So if I were to organize the defaults, if you were to ignore those are the defaults below, and just look at the two at the top. So we have this VPC here, and we have 0.0 as our public subnet and 1.0 as the private subnet. So basically we get about, I think we get about 240 something, 251 in the public IPs and 251 in the private. And there'll be the internet gateway is going to get wired up and stuff. And let's see what else is happening. Oh, here we go, 69 more events. I think we can just jump back in and just take a look at the various events that are running and resources that has kicked off so far. So it's pretty interesting how there's just this single script and it's creating all this stuff. It's basically setting up VPCs, subnets, route tables, network ACLs, service roles, instance profile, the NAT security group, and it's also set up the ELB. We've got an ELB already there. It's nice how AWS has these hyperlink links, so we can easily jump in if we need to. The Bastion is coming online, so let's refresh. And there we go. So we've got a few instances coming up. I need to work on the tagging in the templates, so it's a bit more obvious as to what's what, but I can easily refer those up by looking at the IPs. So for example, this is Bastion is physical ID 0AE, so I know this is the Bastion over here straight away, so I can always tag it manually by hand if I want to, but the whole point of this is not to tag it, do anything manual, or limit the manual work. Everything should be automated as much as possible. So this is a template that I just kicked together yesterday, into the wee hours of the morning. It's 6 a.m., so I've been working through the night. And it's interesting to know that one thing, when you use Amazon Linux, the root point is XVD, it uses the X blah blah type, whereas when you use Ubuntu, it's I think SDA1 or something. It's easy to look up. So just make sure you get those the correct way around. I've gone for EBS. So I've been tweaking quite a few things because the defaults will it might spawn things up on a magnetic volume. So you need to get the specifics that you want right. and that's what I've been doing. So I've been focusing on all these security groups and stuff, getting those all spot on. So this is still spooling up. It's going to take a while. 12 more things are done. Here we go. So now this is the one that I need to replace from NAT Gateway, because we don't need to really be spending on EC2 costs for a NAT Gateway. And the ELB is there. And oh, here we go. So this looks good. OpsWorks, DB instance, and the app instances are being created. So this is our queue to jump to the dashboard. So now we have a fresh stack. Let's run through the layers, which is created automatically. We have the ELB. We have the Rails to do app. Let's take a look at the settings. That's pretty much what I wanted. This was injected through the script. Normally you had to enter those by hand. If you wanted a custom cookbook, that can be set up. I've enabled these through the script. This is the production, so this is the MySQL DB. Nothing has changed, we're just using defaults here. And let's now jump to instances. And this is the interesting part. So we just kicked off 2 instances and the DB master. And all of them have got EIPs, which is handy for many reasons. And what I want to do at the moment is I want to go back and check to talk a bit about the jump host or the Bastion. So I believe this is the Bastion, which is online. So let's get its IP. So what I'm going to do with the Bastion, because this is in a public host, so I should essentially be able to grab the Bastion and SSH into it. So let's try that. So I'm now going to connect to the Bastion, and let's see if this works. It depends, it may not work at this stage because the CloudFormation is still running itself. But if you just give it some time, this should eventually work. Okay. Oh yes, I have missed something. Where have I? That is curious. The Bastion security group needs to be fixed. So let's fix my security group for the Bastion. Yes, I need to change security group. Change state, networking, change security group. So let's see what we have at hand. There was any more requests from the ELB? I don't need any of these. So basically what I want is I want to give the Bastion SSH access, which it doesn't have right now. So I'm just going to give it the default server. So these are tweaks that I need to make in my config, in my CloudFormation script. So let's try this one more time. Now this worked because the Bastion is sitting in the public subnet, and so this is one to-do that I basically need to attend to. So the way I'll go about this is, in the designer, I would create my own security group for this purpose, rather than reuse an existing security group. So that way it's very clear. And that's how I just got into the Bastion instance. Now, the whole point of these, having separated VPCs, or basically separated subnets, public and private, is that the private subnet is not allowed to have any internet access from the outside world. No incoming access, that's basically it. However, instances inside the private subnet are able to make calls to the internet, say to do an apt-get and fetch packages using the NAT gateway, using NAT that allows them to NAT into the public subnet and then to the internet gateway itself. So let's try something now. So these are still boarding up, so we really can't do much until they're up. But let me refresh. So here we go. Now our instances from OpsWorks are also showing. So we have two Rails apps. So let's pick this one. And I want to basically be able to SSH into this box. Now, the CloudFormation script right now has deployed my development key in all the instances. But I need to get my development key to this Bastion host, first of all. Now, this is something I do not recommend to be done on any production instance. But for this purpose, since it's a demo, it's fine. But don't do this in production, basically. So here we go. I'm just going to copy the IPs in, and I'm just going to copy my key in here, so I can just do that SSH to show you that this file is not there. And this should copy it across. Taking a while, but now I'm going to do it again. The file is there, and the permissions are there, but ideally you'd want to set it to chmod 600. Because I don't want to execute rights to that. Yeah, that's better. And from here now, I can basically use the IP here for the Rails app server. And notice how the username changes from EC2 user to Ubuntu, because this is using Amazon Linux. And this is using Ubuntu. So let's just use that inside the Bastion. And now I'm jumping from the Bastion into Rails app 1. And what's good here is that I'm actually since I'm inside the Rails app on the left through the Bastion, I'm actually going to go back here through my history and SSH directly into the Bastion in the right view, so that I have one terminal that's inside the Bastion. One inside the app and one inside the Bastion. I'm also going to go to the app server, Rails app, and I'm going to do something like tail log. Oh, okay. These files aren't up yet, so it's still booting. Let's also run migration, because last time I remember when I tested this out, it basically didn't work. So for example, if I were to grab the internal IP and try curling, I would get a 500 internal server error. So this should have set up a log now. Why is that happening? Okay, let's just take a look. Shared log. permission issue. So let's do two things. First of all, I'm going to switch there. I'm going to switch to the root user, and I'm now going to basically try tailing the logs, basically. And here we go. So if I were to curl, I'm basically making a web request from the Bastion to the Rails app that's on the left screen, which is inside the private VPC. And so I'm getting an error from the app saying MySQL table doesn't exist. So that's because we haven't done a deployment. So let's perform a deployment. Let's run migrations. Let's not bother with the DB host. Let's only do it to the app hosts. And our deployment is running at the moment. And if you were to jump back, we'll notice that our ELB is it's pretty unhappy because it cannot reach the app. It's basically getting a 500 error. So the ELB thinks that our app is basically unhealthy, and therefore it's not routing traffic that way. But once the deployment is done, which would run migrations, and once the data is migrated, we should hopefully see the app, basically the template, the markup from the page when you fetch next time. Of course, right now I'm just putting the header information, but I can get the same info by just changing my curl command. Oh, and look at that, I'm getting 2D applications. So that means I'm getting a 200 now, which I am. So the migrations have worked, basically. Even though, it's done, look at that. And because the migration is done, I am able to fetch the app correctly. Now you can see these requests are really coming from the ELB, the health checker, basically. So if I were to go back to layers right now, the ELB has figured it out as well. So I'm able to click on this link, and there we go. We've got the to-do app loaded. Of course, in this example, I haven't fixed this. I need to add a custom cookbook that I made that serves assets through Nginx. Right now, it's attempting to serve the assets through the Rails app. So that's something I'll add later on. But apart from rendering CSS and all that stuff, I can say demo YouTube video on CloudFormation, and when I add that, you can notice we had this log output, and it's looking good so far. And I can just say close video with closing remarks. I can add that as another one, and I will just say I want to mark this first one complete. And something died there. Oh, wonderful! Yes, it's trying to make a request to the complete command, to this action called tasks. And there is no route, so the app needs further development. But that's fine. That's all we wanted so far. And going back to our stack, we had this thing create. So when the CloudFormation script finishes in a successful way, we can get a summary of what we need to know over here. And so basically what we're getting to know the new VPC, and the most important thing, the access URL to the ELB. And there you go, it works. Now, of course, I can do some interesting things, like, for example, I can update the stack. So let's say I want to bring up a third instance online. I'm going to do this in a quick way. because I've already gone back through the designer and I have made the changes to my template. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to make changes to an existing stack. Nothing changes here, nothing changes here either. And what I think is really powerful about this is similar to Terraform by HashiCorp, which basically says you are about to change this aspect in your infrastructure. It's going to perform a calculation here. And it's basically calculating to say what are the things I'm changing compared to what I had. So it's basically a change set. And this is what we're doing. We're basically introducing a third instance into our OpsWorks stack. So I'm just going to say, okay, let's go ahead with that. And let's come back here to instances. And straight away, that update command, or the call to update basically, it should trigger. I'm going to move this here, so we should be able to see it happening here live. It's basically doing an update in progress, and it has initiated the creation, and there we go. While we're waiting, it's issued a third instance, and that third instance is being spooled up. And what's important is that even the ELB is aware that we have an unattached third instance. And so this is pretty awesome and powerful stuff. And while this is setting up, what I will do is I'm actually going to let this finish. I'm going to actually attempt to kill this path through. Cancel update step. Let's see what this does. It's going to do a rollback. Well, that should be interesting. Now it's rolling it back. So it's going to kill that. So that should basically disappear now from our UI on this side and take us back to the previous revision. Let's see if that happens in real time. And it does. It's basically issued a kill on that instance, and that should vanish when that goes, basically. And that shows where we are at the moment. And I'm now going to say, because this is a demo, I mean, I have no need for maintaining this stack. And I'm going to perform a teardown, basically. I'm going to actually wait till this cleanup is done. It's trying to take care of it. I think it's getting there. So this whole clip is being done in real time. So you can see some of these tasks take time, so it's in a stop state. Okay. It's interesting. I would have expected to delete it as well. Well, it is. Delete is in progress, so that is still happening. Interesting. You expect it to. Oh, there we go. Yes, it's gone, and the ELB has removed it as well. It's vanished from here. Rollback is complete. And now that this is done, let's go back to our stack. Easy refresh. I'm going to basically say destroy this stack. I want to completely remove it. And having issued that command, it's going to go and start killing off everything. And there are certain policies that can be attached in CloudFormation. Basically rules that say, fine, once this infrastructure is up and running, what like permissions on what actions that can be done. So say for example we have the Bastion, we really shouldn't allow the Bastion to be updated. And let's say we have production app instances, we should basically say that the app instances cannot be destroyed. Um, and for example, you might even have a permission that says this stack cannot be deleted unless permissions are changed. Um, and that's what these policies are all about. So since there are no policies attached, I'm able to kick off or delete as I please. And look at this, the events are basically running through all the resources, and it's basically killing them off. Everything is just being deleted. So once this is finished, I should basically be left with my AWS account the way it was before I started this demo, which means it wouldn't have an extra VPC. All the EC2 instances would vanish. So I'm just basically doing that right now. Our SSH sessions would most likely die as well, because these EC2 hosts are going to get terminated. And already they have. I think right now it's just basically just a Bastion, I think. Yeah, it's just a Bastion that's running, I think. The Rails apps are being stopped, the process are being stopped. If you go to the VPCs, there are still 2 VPCs, but this VPC should vanish shortly. And on this side, you can see it's basically stopping these instances in OpsWorks. And it's going to, look at that, it's already deleted the ELB, that's gone. And as soon as the Rails app is stopped, these will be deleted, and this stack is going to essentially vanish from OpsWorks as well. And so this is a quick overview on the kind of infrastructure management in a very large scale that can be managed easily. And look at that, the whole stack just went. We may have even reached the point where the VPC is gone. Okay, not yet. The delete is still running. Here we go. So basically, when this gets to delete is complete, that would be the point when the VPC is gone. Because the VPC is like the first thing we set up, so it's going to be the last thing that's going to be taken down. And I can also look at the EC2 instances on this side. And you can see, oh yes, so they've all now been terminated. Now the Bastion is really being terminated. So yeah, this terminal, so the Bastion is now not responding, and the app is not responding. So both of these are basically dead. I can't do anything in them. So I'm just taking them offline. And we have some more events to say that the EC2 the security groups have been deleted. Internet gateway has been deleted. And you can see all this stuff is basically being torn down. And there you have it. I plan to have some information up on GitHub, and when that is done, I will share a link. Feel free to comment, let me know your thoughts. Give me a like and subscribe, and I hope to bring a few more of these DevOps, AWS centric how-tos or overviews in the future. Until then,